welcome back to the channel, where today you're joining me in my showroom and I'm actually showing you something that I have fallen in love with within the past year. It's my own Mercedes-Benz S-Class. This one here, it isn't the most desirable one by any means, especially when it comes to an older Merc, but I love it. I think it's brilliant. This particular one is an S320 with a 3.2 six-cylinder turbo diesel engine, and it also has £18,000 worth of additional extras from factory. I bought it for a fraction of what even the extras cost, so I think it's definitely one to dive into. It's an interesting one for the channel, and Loki loves it too. So, I'm now sat in the S-Class that I've just introduced in the showroom, and as I've already mentioned, I know they're not the most desirable thing. I've actually seen YouTube channels that I follow slate this car openly. They have challenges as to how rubbish a Merc can get, and this is in there, and it hurts me a little bit because I think it's a fantastic car. Don't get me wrong, I know that this one is a slightly different example in the amount of extras it actually has from factory. As I say, it does have £18,000 worth of extras, and that was back in 2003 when this car was built. As I mentioned, it's got the 3.2 straight six CDI engine, and some people will tell you that's the wrong engine to have an old Merc in. It should be the V8 petrol or something like that, but there's characteristics to the diesel that I think are a win for me personally. Running cost for one is a big one. It's not too bad on fuel. I'm not going to say it's amazing. It is, as I say, it's a big old vehicle. It's a big old bus, and the economy was in the fore and front like it is these days back in 2003. But it's a very comfortable drive. It's got huge amounts of torque. It produces 204 brake horsepower, which isn't much by today's standard, but it's plenty. It feels like it's grunty enough when you're driving it. The spec list, we'll kind of go through that. I've got the app here with the extras. So we'll start at the top, shall I say. So it's got the exclusive Nappa leather all through. That's this perforated leather on the seats, and it's leather all across the dash, all across the door cards, and it's all ever so soft. It also has the AMG single piece alloy wheels. So these alloys have been on it from factory, and I can confirm that because I even rang the Mercedes dealership and they says, yeah, that is those ones there. The Distronic, which I think was ahead of its time, that is an adaptive cruise. So you can set your cruise control and it will judge the distance from the car in front, and if they slow up, you slow up, and if they speed up, you speed up. Obviously you set the speed limit of what you set that to, but again, I feel like that's very much ahead of its time. The dynamic front seat with the backrest as well. So I think that's what this button down here is. It's got a little electronic switches down here with pulse and things. So I think it just firms everything up and kind of makes it a bit more of a bucket seat. I've got ventilated front seats. I've got electrically adjustable rear seats. Keyless go, which is this really cool button on the top of the gear stick. The Bose surround system, which I really do believe holds up even today. The TV tuner in the front. Now that was a £720 option, and that really is useful. That really is useless today because it's all analog, and obviously we don't have analog TV anymore. So I'm ashamed to say that my car doesn't have TV. But there we go. It came with a Nokia 6310 mobile telephone, and unfortunately that one's missing, but I'm sure we'll be able to find another one. But that's something that will show its age. The bi-xenon headlights, they were 620 quid. The Parktronic system, so it will do a self-parking manoeuvre. I definitely wouldn't trust it on a car from 2003, but it came with it. The memory package, so you've got 3-stage memory seats in the front and also on the passenger side as well. Soft closed doors, that is something I find really cool. Infrared protective glass, that's pretty much just the sun protection glass at the back there. Tyre pressure monitoring, I have had to have a sensor replaced on that. They did say you could disable the system altogether, but I think if you've got a car like this with this amount of options, it's kind of good to keep as many of them going as you can. Electric rear roller blinds, there's a button here. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see it in the video or not, but the blind at the back goes up and down, all electronically operated. It's got CD changer in the boot, so it's a 6-disc CD changer. The walnut wood trim was an additional extra as well, and then the sun blinds for the rear windows. And it's got suede headlining, which is really quite pretty. The wood on the handles is all a part of an extended pack. It's in my mind, it's done 118,000 miles. I've done 1,000 miles of those, and I think it's held up relatively well. The bit around the lights, which I'll show you on the video, that's all peeled back. That seems like a really common thing. As I say, I've watched other videos with this S-Class and it seems to go there. But other than that, I would say the condition was pretty good for its age. You'll be able to see, I'll put in some clips of like the soft closed doors. I'll also put in some clips just showing you around the car. I think it definitely has its own characteristics. I've grown to like it, and I think that's because I've driven it. And when I first saw it, I thought, yeah, you know, there are nicer looking S-Classes out there. But I think it's kind of coming into its own, is the honest truth. As I say, I know other traders and bits that say, oh, you got the wrong engine because it's the 3.2 turbo diesel. You should have the 5-litre V8. And as much as I think that would be a really cool car to have, I think this is pretty bulletproof as far as engines go. I mean, that is the general consensus throughout as well. So I've actually taken this car to London. It was ever so comfortable. It's a scorching hot day, aircon's nice and cool, and we were sat in traffic as you would be when you're going into London, and it was so comfortable. There's no place I would rather have been in that particular one. And as I say, I bought this car for a fraction of what it would have been new, and I think they're only going to go one way, is the honest truth. This one's been really well cared for, and you can kind of see that in the interior kind of cosmetics and everything like that. You know, nothing's particularly worn, everything works, nothing's broken, it's all been cared for. And it also came on the Michelin Pilot Sport tyres too, and that I think was a big kind of bonus for me, because I thought, well, if you're still going to be putting the Michelin Pilot Sport tyres on a 2003 S-Class, that's because you like that S-Class. I've seen so many of them about where they've got the smaller alloy wheels on there and really rubbish Chinese budget tyres, and that really kind of lets the car down altogether. I think it looks really good on these AMG line alloy wheels. It's my personal favourite colour combination in the metallic obsidian black with the lighter interior. It's what I would choose, doesn't matter what the manufacturer or what the car is. It's a colour combination I always really quite like. So when I got offered this, as I say, it was from a friend of a friend. It was a customer of mine. His friend decided that he no longer had a need for this S-Class. He actually had a 2007 S-Class. He was a very big fan of the S-Class, so that's what he was replacing this with. And it's not really my stock profile, because he came to me as like, would I like to buy it for stock? And ordinarily, as you know, with other vehicles that I've done on the channel, I tend to stick with much newer models of car than this. But I wanted it for myself when he pulled up, and I thought, yeah, that's really quite cool. I wouldn't mind spending a little bit and enjoying this car for a time, and I've never wanted to part with it. So I've stuck my personal plate onto it. I've polished it and I've kept it up and you know, keep it on a trickle charger. I've only done 1,100 miles in this thing, and that was including the trip to London. My plan for this year is definitely to do some road trips. I want to take it up to Scotland, I want to take it up to North Wales, and I want to do all these other bits and pieces. So I'm hoping if you guys wanted to see that, I can do some road trip videos as well. And I really enjoy it, and I think everyone should kind of have a bit of admiration for an old S-Class, purely for the staple point that it is an old S-Class. Another thing I wanted to show you, I'm going to put the clip in now, is the rear headrest, because there's a button up here and I can press it and it'll bring the rear headrest up, and then I'll compress it again and it'll put those headrests down. But it's quite a cool thing as well, because what will happen when someone jumps into the back of the car and they put their seatbelt on, the headrest automatically comes up, and then I'll press the button if I wanted it to go down. But it's silly little things like that on a 2003 S-Class with this amount of specification that I really truly believe that this car would have gone to someone relatively important or relatively special, or someone who was just a complete fanatic and wanted all of the spec, which I think kind of adds to the coolness for me. I think, you know, if there's that amount gone into it at the start, then it should definitely still be admired in today's day and age. So I can't see myself passing with it anytime soon. I desperately want to do the road trips and bits and pieces. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'm going to do another video of me taking it out on the road, so you can kind of see what it handles like, and kind of get the characteristics from a driving point of view. So keep your eyes out for that one there, and of course please do check out the other videos on the channel, and also like and subscribe, because it does mean a lot. So thank you very much, and I'll see you for the next one.